It's time for QB1 with Crissy Froyd, and the quarterback is Patrick Mahomes. Crissy, did he meet expectations last season?
Yeah, I feel like he did, but when you think about it, this is a team that recently won a Super Bowl, and so the bar is set so high, not only for the team, but for the quarterback. And I thought that the numbers between last season and the previous season were relatively similar. The touchdown interception ratio was not quite as good, so I think that you'd like to see a little bit of decision-making things change just a little bit, but I mean, we're still talking about this as one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I do think that they tried to do a little bit of things differently. Just how great his first three seasons were. It kind of seemed like there were some things that the coaches were trying to do that just didn't really make sense to me. But I think that he performed very well in his own right last year.
You know, for somebody to be put in the category of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, right? I feel like they have to battle through a little of adversity and prove that they're better than their circumstance, maybe. And is the feeling been around Patrick Mahomes that the line hasn't done him justice, or maybe he hasn't had the pieces that he needed? I mean, is there an element of him needing to kind of step up and transcend all those things and be the guy that everybody thinks he is?
Yeah, I think that there were some games last year that he showed a little bit of regression. Not all of it was his fault, but like I said earlier, it's just I feel like whenever a team wins a Super Bowl and when a quarterback wins a Super Bowl so early on in his career, you kind of have this sky high expectation of them that if they don't do that every year or come super close to doing that every year, then they start to get scrutinized a little bit. It's kind of like the thing the whole discussion with is Tom Brady still the best NFL quarterback. I feel like people have gotten so used to that they've gotten to the point to where they expect Tom Brady to lead a team to a Super Bowl every year. And if he doesn't, then it's like, what's happened here?
Where would you put Patrick Mahomes? Is he the best quarterback in the league heading into this season?
I think as long as Tom Brady's in the NFL, that he's always going to be my number two. Patrick Mahomes is, just because I look at the big picture and everything that a quarterback's put together of their career. I think that they're really neck and neck, but I think that it's just going to take naturally more time for Patrick Mahomes to develop that quote unquote legendary status that Tom Brady currently possesses, that he doesn't. And that just has to do with, honestly, length of career.
But quarterback to quarterback, you would put him over like a Justin Herbert. You would put him over an Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah. No, I think I would, just based off of pure ability and upside and what he's accomplished already this early. And I think that whenever this quarterback reaches his time of retirement, which is going to, I think, be quite a ways down the line, we're going to look back at this as one of the greats for sure.
How much does he dispel the negative narrative around air raid quarterbacks?
Yeah, air raid quarterbacks kind of get a bad rap because the system is deemed as something that's super simple, which is true. I mean, the terminology is much easier and the phrases are much shorter than a lot of offensive plays are across other schemes. But this is also a scheme that, while it produces quarterbacks that have really high numbers, there are several quarterbacks who've come into the air raid and failed. And that's because it focuses so much on who a player is as a pure passer. And I think there's no offense really that demands more from an accuracy perspective and a consistency perspective and just decision making than the air raid does. And I think that that produces a lot better quarterbacks than people think. I mean, you look at Patrick Mahomes and then Baker Mayfield and some of these other quarterbacks that have gone in and had some success that are consistently hanging in the NFL. And it's kind of, you just kind of can't question that anymore. And so I think that it's kind of a fallacy, but I think it's going away. And Patrick Mahomes has been a big part of that.
You mentioned a little bit of regression, some decision making that needs to improve. I mean, what do you think Patrick Mahomes ultimately took away from last season?
I think it was just patience. I think it was just learning to be patient with some things. And so I think that that's going to translate into next season. And I think that, I mean, this is a team that wins a lot. It's a quarterback that does really well. But I think that with some of the losing that goes on, that there are obviously some lessons learned, because I mean, you're riding the high of the Super Bowl win and some of the success that he's had. But I mean, it's obviously not something you can do every single year.
It's such an accomplishment to win a Super Bowl so early in your career. And like you say, I think you described it just perfectly. I mean, it's also something of a curse, right? Because the expectation moving forward is, oh, this kid can win a Super Bowl every single year. You know, that being said, I know it's probably not fair, a little hypocritical, but it feels like anything less than a Super Bowl is not going to be good enough for Patrick Mahomes. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I think that's his mentality. And I think he's certainly got the tools and the ability and is in the right place to go out and win another one. And I anticipate that he does at some point in the near future.
All right, QB1 with Crissy Froyd. Crissy, thanks.